Intention.
He was mad because Sean White wasn't on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some white skier wasn't on there.
Yep. Flying tomato. All right, we're live. Here we go.
We let our people come on first.
Yep,
for a minute,
we'll give
Dickey.
time here to join us.
You see we're live?
Classy.
There you go.
So we'll wait just a little bit. Let people join us.
How did I come to this point in my life where I'm on this call and Delaney's starting with a belch?
Yeah. Well, nerds.
At least he's consistent.
Over you, asshole. Bye-bye.
All right, how many are we up to now? Oh, hey, we're already 15. Fantastic.
Well,
you're popular, Dickey. All right, here we go. So we got about 15 folks in here right now. So welcome, everyone, of course, to the Behind the Mic. I with you always, yes, and already Angela Baird. Vincent loves your backdrop, the lady, so we'll get more into that because I do need the story of that picture. It's my favorite picture of all time, but we will get into that. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight for your regularly scheduled broadcast of Behind the Mic. Please do us a favor and just click that little share button down there because this is going to be one hell of a show. Ought to be entertaining, to say the least, because we have with us as our guest, you know, I'll say that for a bit. I got to introduce my co-hosts as well. So as you see up there, with the giant stretched out hat. Cubs has never seen bigger, that giant forehead. Brian Big Daddy Lane. Lane, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great, Sam.
Good, always fantastic. Fantastic. Pleasure to always do this show with you. And with us with an amazing backdrop. Like I said, we'll get into that story. And Colin, your sister, also loves that picture, so I'm going to get that in a shirt. In fact, we need to do like a shirt for the show with just that. You don't need any words or anything, just that. That will sell. But with us, as always, Brian, dude, looks like Laney. How are we doing tonight?
Good. Cold.
It is. Oh, boy.
Excited. Hey, by the way, people, there's a good chance we're going to go a little long tonight, so you might want to just strap in.
That's right, and it's rare that Delaney can say that, so it's exciting. Really yeah. So usually with this weather,
Dickey's got to go to bed in about 49
That's true. We are on a time constraint because Dickey's got to go to bed and do ab work tomorrow at 4:30 in the morning. Right. So in saying that, we want to welcome our guest all the way from South America, down Columbia way, one rock shirt wearing, medium-sized wearing, eyebrow raising, trailblazing, Colin Dickey. How are we doing tonight, Colin Dickey?
Doing great, fellas. It's a pleasure to be on here with you guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely, yes. And by God, we got 38 people watching live right now. Dickey, we should have you on more often.
Okay.
Good Lord. Jeez, watch out. This is going to be a hell of a night. So anyway, once again, thanks everybody joining us. And before we get started, we always want to thank our sponsor, Bill Atwood Insurance, North Wayne Insurance Agency, Flora, Fairfield, Sisney, especially this time of year with people who can't drive anyway. You put them on snow and ice, boy, you better have some insurance. So make sure and contact Bill. He will help you out and get you taken care of. So thank you to him for always being a good guy and always being our sponsor. So shout out to him. Everybody should have their shirts and hats taken care of now. Sorry it took a while on the hats. The first batch that I got, I'm going to share that at some point. Tried to go a cheap route on that. Looked like a tragic farming accident, and just didn't feel it was best to send that out. But Anthony Harrington in Florida, Illinois, helped us out with those, and we got these shirts out there as well. So Dickey refuses to wear it, even though I had to go through customs to get it to me. He still refuses to wear it, Delaney. I don't get it. I don't understand
it. Dude.
I don't.
Maybe if it said Blanton's on it, he'd be wearing it.
I was going to say, if it were bourbon related, he might wear it. You thought tonight he would put it on. He said special. Okay, what more special than tonight? I don't get it. But anyway, so and yes, everybody, as Angela points out, you have nothing to do tonight because it's colder than hell. Snows everywhere. So sit back and enjoy. There will be wonderful talk about. Colin's going to talk to us about the job that he does down there, DEA agent. Also just life in South America, which is quite a bit different than here, of course. We're going to talk some sports, talk some fitness, as Colin is big into fitness. This thing's just going to be great. So once again, I don't know how long we got, Colin, before he passes out because the old man likes to go to sleep early, but we'll do the best we can. So we'll get this party started. So we will start off with a little bit of sports because, everybody on this is just into sports. But some NFL, trade rumors going around, things like that. So I just want your guys' thoughts on this. So Deshaun Watson, for instance, that's a big name out there. Where do you think he's going? Lane, where's he going? Deshaun Watson.
There's a couple places I'd like to see him go. The one that won't happen that would probably be a lot of fun is if they don't pull the trigger on Dak Prescott and he goes to the Cowboys. That would be a really interesting twist. But I don't know, maybe Philadelphia. They're parting ways with Wentz. I don't know what direction they'll go, so that could be a possible fit for him. I think they have the capital to get him. They have enough cap space. So probably one of those two teams. Honestly, I think in this offseason, though, he could go literally anywhere. The Dolphins have been talked about. There's been all of these teams have been talked about. So the cool thing would be, I think if he went to the Cowboys, that probably won't happen. Philadelphia maybe could be a fit for him, but they're getting rid of Zach Ertz. So why would you want to go if you're getting rid of your best tight end? So
that's true. Dude looks like a Laney. Your thoughts? Deshaun Watson, where's he going?
Well, we talked about a couple weeks ago. I don't know how it makes sense for the Dolphins to even be mentioned. They got Tua, they got invested in him. They can't stop that already. But I don't know. There's still enough talk about it. There's also a discussion about him going to the Jets. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but maybe he likes. I think he likes their new coach. I forget who his name is, Robert Saleh or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, right.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know. He has some sort of relationship with him. I don't know. I haven't looked at anything for a couple of days. I haven't heard any heat. Selfishly, I'd like to see him in Chicago. I know Dickey would agree with that. They could make up for the loss or the bad decision not grabbing him a few years ago. But the Bears are not intelligent about that. Tony Richards says not the Bears, but I'm not sure who else.
Yeah. And one must remember, Deshaun Watson's got a no trade clause, so he gets to approve where he goes as well.
So I don't know. There's just so much stuff about Miami. I guess if I had the gun in my head, I guess I'd have to go with Miami just because there's a lot of talk. There's smoke, there's fire. So I'm going to go with Dolphins.
Agreed. Colin Dickey, former big-time athlete, Florida High School, played some football. Well, you were good. You were good. You were young when I was there, young man, but a good talent. Football, basketball, tennis. What was your best sport, would you say?
I would say none of the above. That's a stretch saying great athlete, but I'd probably have to go with tennis because I did play in college.
Perfect.
Just kind of one of those things we were able to play, sports in Florida, play all three of those sports and still start just because of the size of our school. You put any four of us in a school with larger enrollment, and we're probably not even making the team on.
I would have dominated. You know that. Goddamn.
We'd have been on J.R. Lewis's podcast, View from the Bench, just like him. We'd have known what he experienced. Yes.
Exactly. So my view on this situation is, there's been so much talk about him. He's definitely not staying in Houston.
That's a fact there.
Yeah. Why I would love to see him with the Bears. That's where quarterbacks go to die, and I would not wish that upon him. I think they would ruin Deshaun Watson. I'm just going to throw a curveball out there. I would love to see with Urban Meyer coming in Jacksonville, maybe they trade the number one pick for him so he could go to Jacksonville and Urban Meyer could have a established quarterback with Jacksonville. And then Houston could have that number one pick and start with Trevor Lawrence and start rebuilding their franchise.
Is that a mark it down? Dickey, is that a mark it down?
Is that in stone?
Mark it down?
That's out there. It's probably not going to happen, but that's a Hail Mary, and we'll see if it happens. So
mark it down, Sammy.
I'm going to write that down right now. Hang on, folks. I'm going to write this down.
Actually,
anytime you can get a hot take from Colin Dickey.
It really does make a lot of sense.
It does, yeah. So why the hell? A lot of things are going to happen before this draft, that's for sure.
Smith say that or something? Did you watch ESPN today and heard that?
It kind of makes sense because Urban Meyer is going to kind of be under pressure to win right away. And so why have him get a quarterback he's got to develop? Which could, Trevor Lawrence could come out and win right away, but you're pretty sure if you put the right weapons around Deshaun, he's probably going to
Well, Urban Meyer, after his coaching hire mistake of the guy that he said he vetted, and he was like a stone cold racist. Probably don't need too many more mistakes, Urban, if you want to make her. He's going to have throat problems again here for too long and quit like he's quit everywhere else. I can't stand him, and I can't believe Jacksonville did it because I can't stand the man.
He won you a title. What are you talking about?
Nevertheless, he left. He screwed us. Yeah. Then he went to Ohio State and screwed them too. So, it's going to screw the Dolphins.
Got him down there in Florida, I imagine.
Yeah, oh boy. Ooh, boy, is that just an inmate from the asylum down there.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Correct, yes. So speaking of the Houston Texans, J.J. Watt walks away. Just says, hey, cut me, I'm done. The Houston organization is a dumpster fire of epic proportions. They might be worse than the Jets at this point. So where does J.J. Watt end up? Colin Dickey, hot take, where does he go?
So I've got two trains of thought on this. I'd love to see him on the Bears. I don't think we need more defensive players. I think we need to focus on offense. But he does have some significant links there. I think his wife plays for the women's version of the MLS soccer team. I think that's Chicago Red Bulls there. So she's on the team up there. The spot that makes more sense to me, and I know he's a family guy, is potentially going to the Pittsburgh Steelers and linking up with both of his brothers there. And having both those Watt guys on the defensive line would make Pittsburgh a formidable force. So those would be my two hot takes. I think I'm more hopeful for the Bears, but I could see him landing with the Steelers. That'd probably be my number one pick.
Okay. And by the way, I heard today he was as in terms of defensive ends, he drew more double teams than anybody else in the league this past year. J.J. Watt still. So, if he can get in a place where maybe he's got a little more help on that front line, he might get back, if he can stay healthy, get back to that dominant force he was. Delaney, J.J. Watt, your thoughts?
Did he draw more double teams than Dale Thomas, do you think? Or is it about
No, that's not possible. No, you can't get more double teams than Squirrel. A lot of times the Squirrel was seeing like extra people out there too, so we don't know how accurate that was. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. His double, not the other team. Dickey's got it right. Back my 14-year-old Michael, he said that he kind of likes the Steelers. He said he thinks he's going to end up with the Steelers because he's playing with his brothers. That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. I also think he's not going to go to Chicago because we cannot have nice things. He will likely end up in Green Bay because, again, as Bears fans, we cannot have nice things. His flight would be relatively close.
He's back in Wisconsin.
Exactly. They're figured back out in Wisconsin. Exactly. So my money would be on the Packers.
Oh, good call. Okay. Big Daddy Night Train Lane. Where's he going?
So actually all the previous ones are good, but I'm going to pick with two other teams for two other reasons. One, if Watt wants a ring, he will sign with every other veteran and go back to Tampa Bay. So that he on that line makes them even scarier.
Are you kidding me?
Than what they already are.
So that would be awful.
He goes there and that defensive line gets that much better.
Right.
Also, to improve a defensive line and somebody who has kind of an outside chance, at least to make the playoffs and make some noise depending on their quarterback situation, he goes to St. Louis. Not St. Louis. He goes to L.A. and you put he and Aaron Donald on the same line. There's not enough double teams to go around.
So there's not enough weights in the weight room to bench for those two guys, is it?
So those are my two outside thoughts. Actually, I believe that Colin and Brian probably have their picks are probably the better two, but I'll throw some outside ones that I think would be fun to play with because if you put him on either one of those two lines, they become –
Can you imagine him on that Tampa line? That'd be
ridiculous. Oh, my God, be ridiculous. Now, Tampa's got a lot of free agents coming up this offseason they got to deal with. They got to make some decisions. Gronkowski being one of them. So, but mainly it's people on the defense right now that they need to focus on. So they're going to lose some people probably. So we'll see if Tampa's as dominant as they were this past year and really turned it on. By the way, Colin, before I move on to the next person, I want to make sure to address this. Harvey Robert Tackett III said that your Pony League team cheated his Pony League team in a championship many moons ago. I don't know if you remember that or not, but he's still upset about it. He's still torn. I need that addressed. What happened in that championship game? Do you recall?
Who is Harvey Robert Tackett?
Robbie Tackett. Oh, he doesn't even know him. My God, he doesn't even know him. That's tragic. That is sad.
All right. There's your answer right there.
If by cheating it means I struck him out like 5 or 6 times in a doubleheader, then maybe we did cheat. I don't know.
Right. What did you throw in? Some boogers on the ball, a little rotten.
I was going to say a little nasty cheese. Yeah.
I plead the fifth on that. I do not recall that. No recollection.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something we'll have to address later on. So, that's fair enough. Yeah. And then finally, for Bears fans out there, it's been rumored that Carson Wentz is on the move from Philadelphia speaking of a guy that can't stay on the field, got a lot of talent. And he's won a little bit with Philadelphia, but they're trying to trade him, and he might be going to Chicago, as apparently Big Daddy Lane has fallen out of his chair. We got some technical. I don't know. I just see my picture from 8th grade, which is a fantastic picture. You still see the grooves in the side. You still see it. But Delaney, Carson Wentz to Chicago. Would you love it or hate it?
Hate it. I don't think he wants to go there anyway, based on what I've heard recently, like maybe even today. He's a smart guy. Like Dickey said, that's the way his career to go to completely be finished off. Mm-hmm. I suspect he'll end up in Indianapolis. I'm not sure what Chicago will do, but if I had to choose, I think he's probably going to end up in Indianapolis.
I see. So you definitely don't want him in Chicago.
Although, is he an upgrade from Mitch and or Foles? I don't know.
If he's healthy, sure.
Sure. So he's not the answer. If you're wanting to win titles, that's not the answer. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And sounds like he doesn't. He knows as well as Colin and I do that's not his good place for him to resurrect his career if it needs to be done.
No, not at all. And Dickey, I've got more information on that Pony League saga. Tackett says you struck him out with an 8-foot high pitch. That's incredible. Either he's really bad at baseball, or you just knew you threw like some kind of eephus pitch. I don't know what you have going on there. Do you recall?
What kind of strike zone was that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's one of two things. Why is he swinging at a pitch that's 4 feet above his head? If I did throw that, or how much did I pay the umpires before the game to widen that strike zone?
So apparently, all of the baseball talent went to Brian Tackett and the Tackett family, and poor Robbie just missed the boat on that. So that's unfortunate. But 8 foot, that's tragic. But anyway,
a little bit salty over the Super Bowl, probably.
I think he's still a little bit upset on that. Yeah, and you can understand
it. A couple more weeks.
Yeah,
throw him a bone, Colin. He'll be okay.
We got after a beat like that. Oh, Lane's back. Dickey, your thoughts on Carson Wentz? Is that the answer to your Bears' problems, or does that just add more problems?
No, I think Brian Delaney hit the nail on the head on this one. I don't want Carson Wentz on the Bears. I think he's a reclamation project. Too many injuries. He can't stay healthy. I think you'd be going to the backup, whether it's Foles or if they bring in somebody else anyway. If they're going to bring him in, I'd much prefer him to bring back Trubisky on a 1-year contract and just deal with him for another year. Because I don't think – at the end of the day, I don't think the quarterback position is the overall problem in Chicago. I think it's the coaching staff, and I just don't trust Nagy. I don't trust Pace.
The front office.
I don't trust the Bears ownership.
The organization.
Until that ownership changes, the Bears are stuck in like the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and with Sid Luckman playing quarterback. They have not evolved in today's game with high-flying offenses. They're still a defensive-minded team, and I just don't think it would work. I'd prefer not to have him, and whether they draft somebody or pick somebody else up in free agency or roll with Trubisky or Foles for another year, I'd rather see him be garbage for another year and do a rebuild process than bring in Wentz and give up draft picks for him. I'd rather Bears have been notorious for giving up draft picks in the past. They did it for Trubisky to trade up and then only to bypass on Mahomes and Watson. So I just don't trust their organization to make the right decision. So
not at all. And I'll just let you guys know, and folks watching at home, I've got into the day trading aspect. I had a big day today, guys. I bought a lot of shares in this one and made $21 today. So within a year, I think I'm going to put in an offer on the Bears, and we're going to turn this whole thing around. Just fire sale, get everybody start from the game, build it up. And speaking of build up, you got to start with your line first. The Bears don't have much of that. So I go to my lineman on the show. Do you think Carson Wentz is the answer in Chicago, Lane Pie, or does it? Could they? I mean, they could put Jesus Christ there and it wouldn't matter, would it, at this point?
Honestly, a good quarterback may make a little bit of a difference, but the Bears have just so much stuff going on. And my pick, honestly, I have zero faith in Carson Wentz. I have zero faith since he suffered that injury and Foles took him to the Super Bowl. I think the injury knocked him down a little bit. The fact that another quarterback took him to the Super Bowl and won knocked him down a little bit. And that guy hasn't been the same since. He's never had that down season.
Up here, right here, Lane.
Yeah, I think. I would go with him. It's about probably 30% physical and 70% mental is his problems right now. He doesn't have the confidence and all that. So, honestly, with all of these kind of things that are being shuffled around, Jared Goff going to the Bears wouldn't be a terrible thing. Again, they need to get a line that blocks for him, and they need to have a coach that has that mindset to use Goff the right way. because Goff with a messed up finger still played a really good game. And
he did. Yeah, and he's got stones, man. I tell you what, I was impressed.
So,
yeah.
I think
that works out well because, he could, Goff could, with his broken hand, he can still throw, 3-yard outs to the tight end. That's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all he's going to need to do anyway. So it works out pretty well.
But I mean, if the Bears would actually get him some blocking in a vertical game, more vertical threats, and get it. I mean, come on, put Goff there, and then convince Carson or Ertz to come to Chicago. There you go.
And Allen Robinson sticks around maybe for a minute,
and then you got your deep threat, and you got your guy over the middle. I mean. But I just don't have any faith in Carson Wentz.
Ifs and buts, candy and nuts. So the Bears are going to suck, and that's what they do. Yeah. And then finally, there's rumors going around that Russell Wilson is unhappy in Seattle. He might want out. Seattle would be insane to trade him off because he is phenomenal. But you got to build. Once again, he got the piss beat.
And Sam goes off for a while.
There we go.
Now we go into where Sam is like, oh my gosh. But he's basically talking about the fact that Russell Wilson didn't have much blocking this year, and he got kind of lit up. Their downfield game just wasn't there either. That offense hasn't looked the same in probably the last 2 seasons.
Hey, we're back. All right, so the hamster fell off the wheel, but we're back. We had some weather down here, so as usual, we have a little internet trouble. But as I was saying, Russell Wilson needs a line. We'll see what happens with that one. So moving on to another topic, and before we get into the Colin Dickey show, 25th anniversary of Happy Gilmore, perhaps one of the greatest sports movies ever made. So many one-liners from that movie. So many memories. I mean, my God, how many of us who hasn't done the Happy Gilmore swing, because you suck at golf anyway, you might as well, try that swing. It never worked. I mean, you damn near fall down whenever you try it. But nevertheless, what are your fondest memories from, I can't believe it's been 25 years, but nevertheless, your fondest memories from that movie? Lane Pie, what was your fondest memory of Happy Gilmore?
So a couple. The Price is Wrong, Bob, and then he hits Bob Barker. I thought that was kind of funny. And the fact that Carl Weathers was playing in a retired golfer with a hand that got hit off by a crocodile. I mean, it's the same guy that was Apollo Creed and that was in Predator. He's
right. Yeah. You can't stop him. Stop him. Absolutely. Yeah. Dude looks like a Laney. Happy Gilmore. Your thoughts?
There's so many of them. It'd take a long time to go through them. But one of the more underrated ones I like is, where were you on that one, dipshit? That's probably, I'd say that's one of my top 2 or 3, maybe number 1 even, if I think about it hard enough.
Right.
Otherwise,
the poor caddy.
Just a beautiful movie, and
it really is. Oscar did get awarded, nominated for an Oscar. Should have,
right?
But these sports movies, comedies never do. It's tragic. But Dickey, your thoughts?
I'm a big fan of the miniature golf course when he's practicing his playing, and he takes the putter.
You're gonna die, clown!
You're gonna die, clown! That's probably one of my favorite. I was a little disappointed in the video that you posted with Sandler doing the drive. You didn't say "so long, sucker."
Yeah, right. He missed out an opportunity there, didn't he?
Yep. And the 2 people that were my favorite, I think, in that movie were Shooter McGavin. I mean, that guy is always phenomenal. I can't even tell you his real name, don't know, but he's phenomenal in any movie he's ever been in. He posted a video today as well that I shared on the page, and he's just fantastic. In fact, his Twitter handle is still Shooter McGavin, and he's got like hundreds of thousands of followers. He's so great. And then, of course, Happy's love interest. I was a big fan of hers. Especially when she came out
my heart
with the 2 jugs of beer in his memory, where the little person's riding the stick pony, and here she comes where he goes into his happy place. And as Jeff Fehrenbacher says, the amazing golf ball whacker guy, absolutely. Happy had it figured out on Subway. What a great movie, a classic that'll live on forever. So in saying that, we covered your sports for you sports fans out there, and now it's time to get into why we are here. He's the reason that I wear sleeveless shirts, on a daily basis, even to work. I've been written up several times, but I continue to do it because I don't want to let him down. Live from Columbia, and he has better internet access than I do somehow up here in the States. But nevertheless, Colin Dickey, thank you again for making the time. We know we got you up late. I know your parents are watching, your sister's watching. There's several people watching, which is fantastic. But there's so many things we could talk about. So let's just jump right in it. So you are in the DEA, which is I'm sure you have stories upon stories that could go on for days. But tell us what you're doing down there in Colombia. So what does the job entail, which, like I said, could go on forever, but it's up to you. So tell us.
Well, pleasure to be on here, guys. I appreciate it. And I'm glad my parents and sister on. I wouldn't be here today where I'm at in my career and life without them. And I've told people several times that I got into public service kind of because my dad, he was a fireman. I didn't really feel like running into burning buildings, but I always wanted to do something to serve the community. And I got into wanting to do something in federal law enforcement. Probably about 7th grade, I started thinking about that. I know it's a long time ago, but I started being interested in it. So I'll kind of start with kind of how my career got started and how I ended up here. So I got on DEA in 2004, pretty much right out of college. DEA was having a big hiring push back then because they had a bunch of people retiring. So I got sent to Chicago as my first assignment after I finished the DEA training academy out in Quantico, Virginia. I worked as an agent, special agent in Chicago, doing heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana cases, targeting Mexican cartels and violent street gangs in Chicago. I did that for about 10 years, from 2004 to 2014. In 2014, late 2014, early 2015, I promoted to a group supervisor position, and I was moved down to our money laundering financial investigations group, doing financial investigations and money laundering cases across the world, which was something I'd never done before. So it was very good to venture out and try something new. During that time, I supervised 7 special agents and 7 task force officers, which are basically deputized task force or police officers that are full-time assigned to the DEA. So I did that for 3 years. After I finished that gig, I put in for a lateral assignment to come down to Bogota, Colombia as a group supervisor. Before I came down here, I had to do 6 months of Spanish language training. I had to do 600 hours of language school to learn the Spanish language in order to speak it down here with the counterparts and basically be able to survive on a daily basis, talking it to people on the streets, restaurants, hotels, et cetera. And my Spanish isn't fantastic. I think Carrie Toth would probably be disappointed in me from high school, but it's still better than it was in high school, and I get by.
¿Cómo estás?
Yeah.
¿Qué horas? That's all I know. That's all I remember. Sí, no, ¿qué horas?
So when I came down here as a group supervisor, I supervised about 6 special agents, and we work hand in hand with our Colombian counterparts, be that police officers or military, working large-scale drug investigations down here. So I did that for a year, and then I received another lateral position that counts as my headquarters time in Washington, D.C., where I worked for the DEA Special Operations Division, stationed in Chantilly, Virginia. And my current title is staff coordinator. I basically coordinate money laundering and drug investigations throughout the world, different offices, with domestic offices in the United States and our foreign offices, whether it be in Colombia or other places. I support cases in Australia, Europe, all over the place. And then I actually have some news that only a few people know, my family and a few close friends.
Breaking news, everyone. Pay attention. Breaking news right here. Special announcement. Here we go. Lane, pay attention. All right, here we go. Special announcement. Go ahead.
On Friday, I received news from my agency that I received a promotion to Assistant Special Agent in Charge, and I'll be returning back to the St. Louis Field Division. So I'll be one of the second people in charge of the St. Louis Field Division, and I'm hoping to make that move sometime in the next 90 days, depending on when funding becomes available. So I'm looking forward to getting back to the States and being close to family and friends.
Awesome. So will you be assistant to the regional manager or assistant regional manager?
Sam, he's going to be an ASAC. Everyone knows this. Jesus.
Oh, he's always been a SAC. Good. That's fantastic. Consistency is the key. That's great.
So many acronyms. But so in these domestic offices, there's what's called a special agent in charge. They're the person that's responsible for overseeing the office and everything around it, not only in St. Louis, but St. Louis is a division office. There's regional offices and district offices and posted duty, smaller offices that that boss also supervises. So when I was a group supervisor, I supervised agents. As an assistant special agent in charge, I'll be under the special agent in charge, under his direction and command. But instead of supervising agents, I'll be supervising group supervisors that run groups similar to what I was doing as a group supervisor. I'll probably have about 5 or 6 groups under my command that I'll be supervising up there. So be more responsibility, very rewarding, doing a lot of community outreach, working with local police departments, the United States Attorney's Office, local prosecutors, getting DEA's message out there, and our mission, trying to accomplish the goals that we want to do in St. Louis, which is combat opioid, heroin, methamphetamine trafficking, money laundering. And the big thing is what I did in Chicago too, when I was an agent up there and a group supervisor, tackling violent street gang activity as well. It's a big problem. They're pushing drugs out on the street, and they're bringing violence to the streets of our cities across the country. So looking forward to getting back into the domestic work. And like I said, being closer to home. I got a lot of friends and family that live out there. My sister's in the community. She's got 3 sons, so I got 3 nephews in the community. I've got a lot of friends that have kids, so I feel like I can get back in that community and make a difference for people that I'm friends with and I care about, and maybe they don't run into some issues that some kids that live in some of these bigger environments don't have to worry about. Similar to what us growing up in Florida, we didn't have to worry about that stuff growing up as kids. There wasn't like a huge drug problem that we were exposed to, or gang and violence. And it's a little bit of a different situation living in some of these urban environments. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be great.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, it's as Justin Cook points out here, it's great to have allies in these streets. Like I've got my legalized weed guy in Big Daddy Lane, so that helps. And now I've also got my get out of jail free card guy in Colin Dickey, so that's a plus in case anything goes bad. Now, Delaney, you're of no use to me because I don't know what you can do for me, but I've got 2 allies here on the show. So
hang on a sec. Hey, Colin, can you give me some PBA cards at least?
So to go back to the serious note, any guys who've worked in law enforcement know what a great promotion and just what an accomplishment it is to get to that level in any agency. Assistant Special Agent in Charge, amazing opportunity. You will excel, and again, tip my hat. Excellent work as always. You will make a difference in St. Louis just like you have everywhere else you've been stationed. So congratulations.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Brian. That means a lot coming from somebody who's been in law enforcement before too. It's a tight-knit community, that, and obviously I know there's a lot of negative rhetoric that goes around about law enforcement nowadays in the States and in other places. Yeah. So it's good to hear the positives. We don't always hear it. We always talk about, DEA usually goes to people's houses or goes to arrest people on their worst days, but that's not all we do. I mean, we target the highest level offenders. We're not out there trying to target lower level offenders that are, selling dime bags of weed, or people that are using it for personal use or medicinal use or anything like that.
We're safe, Delaney. We're safe for now.
Yeah, should be okay, right?
We're out there trying to do work, and we're trying to target the largest scale organizations, whether that's in the United States or whether it ties back to places like Mexico and Colombia that are source countries for narcotics. That's our goal. But we also do a lot of community outreach and try to do demand reduction. That's a term we use. Trying to get the word out there about the harm that using narcotics can cause, whether that be the hard stuff like heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine, or sometimes it's as simple as there's a lot of abuse with prescription medication. It can start, abuse and overdoses and dependency can sometimes start with something as simple as like a high school football injury or a sports injury or something like that. You get prescribed oxycodone or Oxycontin, and once you run out of that prescription, sometimes people chase that high and they look for the next thing. And unfortunately, some people go to other substances and they look on the black market trying to find those things. And the big thing right now is fentanyl is the big thing on the streets. And I don't know how many people out there know about fentanyl, but basically fentanyl is a painkiller that's 100 times stronger than morphine. So it's very, very strong. And a lot of the narcotics traffickers and the street dealers are mixing fentanyl with other narcotics such as cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin, which is a horrible mix. And it's a very dangerous situation, not only for the people using it, but when fentanyl's out on the streets, it creates a dangerous situation for police officers or other people that come in contact with it as well.
Right. Now, Justin Cook brings up a great question, Colin, but I do think, because he said, can you investigate Sam Irwin's campaign promises during his 1993 student body president run? I think I've met the statute of limitations on that. So you can't really look into something that's been over 25 years ago. Correct. Am I right there?
Yeah, I'd say the statute of limitations, that would probably be about 5 years. So we're
I'm clear. Yeah, I am clear.
Can you please still reach out to the state's attorney just to be sure, though?
Yeah, but I know the judge. So the judge, I think, will be able to help me out because he was a student body president before me. He didn't live up to any campaign promises either.
I was a campaign manager, so I should know.
We can still move that crime to wearing too many sleeveless shirts, though. I'm sure there's a crime or
there's no crime in that. That should be a state law. State law is what that ought to be. Is just every Friday at least, So casual work day, everybody goes sleeveless. I think that's important. But it's saying that. So congratulations, that's awesome. Your parents are very excited as your mom's on here and she's going wild, and I'm sure she's jumped over a couch by now. But love your parents to death. Your dad's a great man, been involved, helping in Florida so much and doing, of course, the volunteer fireman forever. I think is he recently retired? He's getting close.
Yep, recently retired. He was mandatory December 31st on his birthday at 65. That's the mandatory age. I know it pained him to get out of there. He loved being a fireman. He loved serving the community and the people of Florida. I know he's still doing it in some capacity, but he loved doing that. And he's got a great bunch of guys that work with him and obviously are doing it solo now. Without him on the fire department. So I know he misses it.
Right.
Clearly.
Well, you know what? And that's something that you might want to look into because that sounds discriminatory to me, that they force somebody out with their age. So look into that, Colin, write that down. And, when you get in here in May, that should go to the top of the list. Also, your mother is one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. She's hilarious. Great people. Your sister, fantastic person. Always get a kick out of her. The laughter is I remember that distinctly. She was always hilarious. So you've got a great family and a lot of support. So that's exciting for everybody that you're getting ready to go back to St. Louis. So before we get into life in Columbia and kind of maybe some stories you can share of the craziness that you dealt with down there, but also, about the country itself, because, many of us will never go there or not even know what life is like there. But we have to have an explanation on the backdrop that is Delaney. This is my favorite picture. It's going to be made into a shirt very soon. But I love it. When I'm having a bad day, I bring it up and just look at it and all. I don't know if it's the showing the abs, the chests, the leather jackets, the matching tattoos. I'm not sure what it is, but it is probably the greatest picture ever taken. So one of you two, or both of you, I want to hear from both of you. How did this picture happen? What's the reason behind it? And why does it live on forever? Delaney, go first. I want to hear from you first.
Well, I'm not sure I'll be able to helpful. We should probably bring Sarah on. She's the one who took the photo, I think. But it's just two bros
Sarah.
Hanging out, two dogs hanging out, doing some blow, putting some tips on, wearing leather jackets. So I'm probably 17 there. Colin's 12ish.
So you have no leadership skills at all, Delaney. Look what you're doing to the kid.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is
that about right?
I was in 8th grade.
Okay,
Jesus.
So we're just being bros with our hose and just doing our thing. How good those abs look, though.
It's fantastic. I mean, my God. You'll never have abs like that again, Delaney. Dickey's got them now. In fact, his are better. You, on the other hand, too much bourbon.
I'm not. I should just take my shirt off.
You should. I think you should do the rest of the show shirtless. Why not?
I mean, let's jacket. I was going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah put it nicely. Two boys being idiots. That sums it up pretty well.
That's exactly what it is.
That's perfectly. Colin, you can help me out a little bit there, boy.
Yeah, Colin, what made this happen? I know Delaney at the time was probably your hero. I think you wore the same basketball number as him, because you looked up to him. I mean, so what's going on here?
I mean, I don't see what's wrong with that picture. That's just two guys being normal on a Friday night.
Yeah. That's life in Florida, Illinois on a Friday night. That's what that is.
Yeah, that is.
When I come back to St. Louis, we're recreating that photo.
Oh my God! Oh. Yes, 100%. Yeah,
a few things in
life.
life.
In that living room, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree that shirts need to be made. I know Lindsay Burt Kajazik has requested, I think, a blanket made with that photo on it.
Nothing keeps you warmer at night than that right there. I mean, my God, two of the sexiest men alive, you know. Jesus.
Crystal, love that.
Yeah.
I should have got that for Valentine's Day for her.
And Robin Dickey says they were there as well for this infamous picture taking. So just fantastic. My God. So great.
It's right there by the living room.
It was fantastic.
All right, so we've addressed the picture. Like I said, it lives on forever, and it will be in shirts. So we may have to take an order, Lane. I don't know. We may have to put that out there. Get these bad. I'm getting one for myself. I know, but we may have to. Oh, it does. Boy, you know, that's a good point. Heath Hamilton brings up. Delaney, did you have a spray tan? Was this like before prom or something? What you got going on there? You're looking very.
I was just naturally beautiful like that. You can ask Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah knows. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you did. You look like a model in that picture, Delaney. I mean, I don't know what's happening.
Oh, look who we got on. AC Reagan has jumped on. It's been a while.
Here we go.
Yeah. So when Reagan's out, I mean, we should just start sending out invites. Just have people just join this whole.
Absolutely. By the way, it's 20 to 8 people. Ain't no goddamn way you're going to be done by 8 o'clock. So just hang in there.
Yeah, we'll keep the show rolling.
And we're back. All right. So there's another delay. And while we had a delay, let's go ahead and do our commercial. If you don't have any insurance, make sure to reach out to Bill Atwood. It's a nice segue. See, Dickie, that's how I do this with my hamster on the wheel. But make sure and reach out for all your insurance needs with Bill Atwood. So Justin Cook says $20 says Nancy Stringer painted number 4 on Colin Dickey's cheek before one of Delaney's basketball games. That's probably true. I'd say that probably happened. Clay Reagan says it's like looking at Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. You know, that's pretty accurate right there. That's like Goodwill Hunting stuff right there. I think that's right. Yeah. It is. But God, all the memories, so great, so great. And I tell you what, so great. And here we are still today somehow talking to each other. All right, so we've covered that. So now, oh, and that's true. Jeff Fehrenbacher, good call. So Nancy Stringer not only will paint the number on your face, but that cowbell is going to be clanging and banging. Boy, I miss those days. Good God. That was awesome. Yep, good memories right there. So Columbia, Colin Dickey, it's a bit different than, you know, where we're living right now. So one, we want to hear some, you know, if you can. Now, folks out there, don't ask crazy things because some things he can share, some things he can't, of course, you know, when you're working for the government. But also just Columbia in and of itself. You know, I don't know that I'll ever visit it. I'm sure there's, just like anywhere else, there's beautiful parts, there's bad parts and stuff like that. But just from you lived in the United States, obviously, most of your life, but then go down there to, you know, South America. Maybe you could talk about, you know, some cool things that happened there, some, you know, some interesting things with the job, but also just living in South America. What's it like?
I'll tell you what, I'd say the best thing I can say about it is it's been a very humbling experience to live down here in a country that is overall very poor. I'd say the distinction between the upper class and the lower class without very much of a middle class is a lot more prevalent than in the United States. But very nice people, very welcoming to the U.S. population down here. A lot of good people, a lot of great places to go to. Bogota itself is a pretty big city. It's about 10 million people. What the fuck are you guys laughing at?
Well, we get questions. The questions that we get.
Yeah. Pardon me. Justin Cook wants to know. It's a very important question. What's the equivalent of Reinhard in Colombia?
Oh my God. I don't think there is a Reinhard.
It doesn't happen everywhere, does it? Not even in Colombia.
There's no Reinhard, there's no Ford, there's no Clay City.
Oh, well, then what's the point of living if there's no Clay City? I mean, my God. And then Robbie Tackett, who you struck out with an 8-foot-high fastball. Would Delaney be able to get his double quarter pounder from McDonald's in Colombia? Does that exist?
That's a very important question.
They do have McDonald's, and when my son was down here, he said McDonald's tasted better down here than in the United States. The food tastes a lot more natural. There's not a lot of antibiotics and stuff like that.
Crystal, get me a flight to Colombia. Stat.
Actually, to comment on that, one of the things I do know is like there is a lot in most countries. There are more regulations on the food and fast food industry than they have in America. So they say a lot of places the fast food tastes better in other countries than it does in America. So
interesting,
less rat turds, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
sorry. We get questions we ask. I mean, we gotta, you know, for the people.
Carry on. Tell us about the Colombian
Hard for me to
food
keep
and
a straight face when
women.
you two are chuckling like
Yeah, we're not good at poker faces. We would.
No.
So people here are very welcoming. Family is huge down here. Families get together on the weekends. Fitness is big down here. Cycling is very big. A lot of people come down here and train for like Tour de France or big bike races, because a lot of people don't know this, but Bogota is in the mountains. So we're at 8,500 feet above sea level. So working out down here is no joke. Like, I get gassed pretty quick. I'm in good shape, and I get out of breath really quick. Have to take longer breaks between sets. But people come up here and they ride in the mountains. So that's why the weather down here is so great. My parents had the fortunate opportunity. They came down here for Christmas one year, and I think they really enjoyed it. We went and saw some of the sites outside of Bogota, but the weather usually varies. Nighttime getting down to like high 40s, low 50s, up to 70, 75 at night. But it's like that all year round. So it's kind of like San Diego, except without the sun, and it does have a heavy rain season as well. But then you go up to the coast to Cartagena or Santa Marta. Those are two places that I've went to 3 or 4 times since I've been down here, and it's 90, 95 degrees every day with 90% humidity. Pretty different country, but it's gorgeous. The beaches are nice up there, and it's really cool because they've got a coffee region down here where you can go to coffee plantations and go through that experience as well. So it's been a great experience. I love it down here, and the people, the Colombian people are very nice, and not only that, but the people I get to work with down here. Being in Chicago for 14 years, I didn't get to exposed to a lot of people from different parts of the country or the world, but being down here, I'm assigned to work with people from all walks of life, and then came from different cities in the United States as well. So it's been a really great experience. I think people really appreciate things down here. And part of me has been glad I've been down here with, some of the stuff during the election and some of the movements and riots and everything like that. I haven't really been exposed to that. I really don't watch too much U.S. news down here because it kind of just depresses me sometimes to see what's going on in our country. And people don't take life for granted down here. They enjoy things, and they can live off very little down here, and they're very blessed and thankful for what they have. So.
Wow. And Jeff Fehrenbacher, as you're talking about the scenery and all that, asked a great question. Do you think I could throw a football over those mountains? And I think that's probably true. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's true. Heath Hamilton, great question here that I think needs to be addressed. To hell with the beaches. Tell us about the women down there. What is the situation down there, Colin Dickey? I mean, Brazil, Colombia, your thoughts?
Broken necks. That's all I'll say.
Hey, Colin, I have an important question. Did you meet Z. John Wilder?
Z. John Wilder? I did not. And I went up to Cartagena, and I still did not meet her.
Okay, all right. Just wondering.
So the beaches are definitely worth going to, you'd say?
Yeah, Cartagena is a very cool place. I would say my favorite place in Colombia to visit. Cartagena is very popular because it's a cruise tour stop now, with some tours or some cruises leaving from Miami. It's usually one of the southernmost points they hit for like a day on or day off, hop on, hop off tour. There's a lot to see in that city, but it's a very small place, and it's very touristy. I much prefer Santa Marta, and there's a place called Tirona Park up there that has beautiful mountains and beaches, and it's a little bit more secluded and less people. We went there, I think, twice, once for Thanksgiving and once for Easter one year, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, and here's a great question, and you know this well. Brittany Hines asks, how has it been dealing with COVID there? Surely better than this train wreck we've got going on in the U.S. You may have some information for them that it may not be as fun as what they think. So how has it been down there compared to the United States?
Yeah, so COVID really hit this place hard. And the big reason for that is lack of healthcare resources. The hospital and the care is not as good down here. They just don't have the money and the resources for it, or the space. And a lot of that has to do, unfortunately, with a lot of the population being poor and not having like a national healthcare system. So unfortunately, when this hit in March, I think I went to the States in February of 2020 to Orlando for a week. I came back, and then I was here in March, and they completely shut the place down. I'm talking shutdown. Like, we were not allowed to leave our house. We couldn't go to work. You couldn't
Entire country or just the town you were in?
Entire country. So Bogota got hit really hard. You can imagine 10 million people being on top of each other. It was really bad here.
Is that 10 million? Is that by their population, Colin? Is that about right?
It's about 10 when you factored in. I was talking to you guys last night. There's a mountain that I took my parents to called Monserrate, and it's a peak that's probably about 2,000 additional feet above the city of Bogota, and you can really see how widespread it is, and you can kind of see what they call like barrios out there, where they're kind of more poor neighborhoods out in the distance. But no, so from March to early July, the airport was closed, so I was not allowed to travel outside of Colombia. There was no travel, no flights in the country of Colombia. The airport was completely shut down. So I couldn't travel, couldn't leave my house. Luckily, they have a great like delivery service here where you can get your groceries delivered and anything you can imagine. So I basically did that. They shut down my gym, which, if anybody knows me,
Oh my God,
may not be a big deal to some people, but for me, I know we talked about this, and I thought Susan Coggin Harris, when she came on, you guys had some great conversations about mental health through COVID and other situations. It probably affected my mental health a little bit, not being able to go to the gym. I was fortunate enough to buy some home workout equipment and get some home workouts in, but it's still not the same. For anybody that goes to the gym and is passionate about it, it just was not the same for me. I just did not feel the same. I was working out at home. I was working at home full time. I'm watching TV at home. I'm doing everything at home. Luckily, I have a pretty big place down here, but it still just wasn't the same. So it was bad down here. We had a lot of deaths through that first wave. I mean, we were averaging 15 to 18,000, cases a day there for the longest time, with 600 deaths a day. I don't know what the totals are. I haven't looked at it, but we just came off so March to July was shut down. They started opening things back up in August to like November or December, right before I came up for the holidays, it was open again. When I came back from my Christmas vacation up in the States, it shut down again on the weekends because cases had spiked again. So there was lockdowns on the weekend. There was a curfew at night from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And the cases spiked again. We're just now coming off the second phase of it. The big issue right now is there's another string of this coming up from Brazil in the Amazon region, which is to the south part of Colombia. And who knows what's going to happen with that, if that's going to cause another shutdown. So if you had, and I had the chance at the beginning of this, they have something called authorized departure. I could have left post and went to Washington, D.C. and been up there kind of with some sort of relief. I chose not to do it because I just think we all didn't know how long this was going to last for. And it lasted a lot longer than I thought. Part of me is glad I stayed down here and was able to do some things, but it was tough. It was tough on the U.S. Embassy population down here, but more importantly, it was tough on the Colombian population, and it still is. The ICU beds are still at, I think, 85 or 90% capacity, and that's always been the metric that they follow for opening things back up. Just because if the beds are full, they're going to have to start picking and choosing who's living and who's dying, and that's never fun. So
no doubt. One bright point Justin Cook points out as you're moving to St. Louis, Nellie's house is for sale, $600,000. So, that's an option for you if you're looking for houses. I'm sure that's.
Hey, Colin.
I think I got three co-signers on this call. I think all four of us can go in and buy that 6-bedroom mansion.
Well, with me day trading right now and making $21 today. Yeah, I'll have that taken care of by the end of the week. But go ahead, Delaney. Yeah.
I was just saying, Colin, there was a point, if I remember right, that that Bogota was shut down so much that it was just like alternating gender days you could be outside. Is that right?
Yep. So they started off with alternating gender days where only one person from a household could leave, and then it was either a male or a female day. And then they went away from that, and what they're using up to a couple of weeks ago before they finally opened things back up within the last 2 weeks is when like all the restrictions were gone. They use something where your identification card or your passport, I don't know why they do this, but if it ended in an even number, you could go out on odd days. And if it ended in an odd number, you could go out on even days. So when I came back from the States, I didn't even know it was in place because I wasn't following the news. I went to tried to go to the grocery store, and it was a even day. And my passport ends in an even number. I tried to go in and get in, and they're like, sorry, you can't come in today. It's not your day. You got to wait till tomorrow.
It's like 8 block in high school with the even and odd days. What a load of crap.
You
wow.
Can't even get bourbon. That's ridiculous.
That's sad. Now, Dickey, what about the people that, don't like it when people identify them by gender? What were they to do on those days down there?
That was a question that actually came up, like a serious, legitimate question during like a town hall or something down here where people were discussing, and I never really got an answer to that. I'm assuming that they would probably let them in on either day just to avoid any disruptions. But
wow.
I'm not sure. So
Craziness. All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the thing. Give us some, if you can, give us some stories. Some, you're at the DEA, it's Colombia, cocaine is all around, and money laundering and all sorts of things. What can you tell us about the craziness of things, or your training, to prepare you for such things? What goes into that?
No, so like the training academy I went through was 16 weeks. We did a lot of training in firearms, a lot of PT, long runs, a lot of classroom work, like practical exercises, working on like undercover skills, things of that nature. But it was grueling. By the time you get to 12 weeks, I mean, you're in it all the time, and you really don't leave that place. So it was an intense 16 weeks, and it's on a base out there. The FBI Academy is out there, and there's a U.S. Marine Corps base out there in Quantico as well. It's a beautiful facility, and we weren't allowed to leave the training site for I think the first 4 or 6 weeks, and then after that it opened up and we were able to travel a little bit. But made a lot of good friends out there. People I'm still really good friends with to this day. I had a friend, I think I posted it before on Facebook, real good friend of mine in my academy class named Chad Michael. He went to Miami, and then he got on our FAST team that got deployed to Afghanistan in 2009. He was doing a counter narcotics mission with some special forces guys out there, and they had like 2 or 3 helos crash, and unfortunately he perished in that accident. So this has always been real to me. It's it's life or death situations sometimes when you're doing stuff. When I was in Chicago, I was on the special response team, which is the equivalent of like a SWAT team for a police department. We did high risk search warrants and entries where we obviously go to people's house where we have search warrants and arrest warrants. And we're dealing with the worst of the worst at that point, guys with violent criminal histories and knocking down doors and, trying to make the community a safer place. I really like that work. It was great training, and it was fun to do for 3 or 4 years before I promoted up there. As far as down here, just the sheer volume of cocaine coming out of this country. I mean, there's only 3 countries that produce cocaine in the world, and that's Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia, just because of the climates in those countries. Estimates are that 90% of the world's cocaine production comes out of Colombia that's distributed to the United States, Europe, Australia, other places. So I think the largest cocaine seizure I was involved in Chicago was about 300 kilos of cocaine. But down here, the cops that we work with were involved in a seizure of about 7,000 kilos of cocaine.
Now, what would that be worth, would you say? 7,000 kilos, what is the grand total on that?
So I'd have to get out my trusty calculator, but basically
$10.
A kilo of cocaine can be, produced and sold down here for about $1,500 a kilo. But by the time that kilo reaches the United States after the transportation process, it would sell for about $30,000. So you're talking about a 15,000% markup on that. You take that same kilo to Europe and it sells for $60,000. You take that same kilo to Australia and it sells for $200,000 a kilo.
What about Siberia? What if you really wanted some blow in Siberia?
1 billion.
Wondering.
Oh my God! Ooh, $1 billion.
I don't think I can
Nice.
afford that.
Well,
I'm gonna take some edibles with me.
But you can see based off those amounts that it's just it shows you why drug trafficking is such a big business with these traffickers, and why it's probably never going to go away as long as there's supply and demand. And there's always, unfortunately, there's demand in the United States, and it's increasing in Europe and other parts of the world. It's a big problem. It's job security for me. I never refer to it as like a drug war per se, because I think wars are won and lost.
Because you're not Nancy Reagan.
But I feel good about what I do every day. I feel like I'm making a difference one way or another, whether it's been down here or whether it's been up in the United States, and it'll continue to be that way for me. I'm passionate about the job, and like I said, thinking about like my sister having kids up there or family and stuff like that. If I can make a difference for one person down here or one person up there, I think it's all worth it. And
even if she has bandwagon kids that wear Chief jerseys, I mean, is that really? Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe, even that.
Still,
yeah. Hey, having said that, Colin, I know I've asked you this before, but it's still worth repeating. That it must be frustrating though to know you bust 7,000 kilos or whatever, and then that's just not even touching anything.
Like a drop in the bucket. Yeah.
Like it's you're doing your thing, but it's a never ending job. That's good, obviously, for job security, but do you feel like you're ever going to gain traction or not accomplish anything? Obviously, you accomplish something, but to feel like this is just futile sometimes.
I never feel like that. I feel like we're always gaining traction, and it's less on sometimes what we seize and more on who we arrest when we're chasing these high level targets and taking these guys off the streets. Sometimes people say you cut the head off the snake and somebody else is just going to rise up, but that's why we do what we do. We continue investigations, and whether we arrest 30 or 40 people, it's great. And we savor that day when we do that. But the next day it's like, all right, what have you done today? What have you done for me lately? Let's get after it again. So yeah. I never feel like it's futile. If I ever felt like that, then I would feel like it's time to give up and go do something else. And
right.
I've never felt that one day on this job.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, Bobby Carlisle has a good point. Can you read that for me? Just one word.
I'm not going to read that one, but he did say Colombian Bam Bam. Dickey, can you give us some other names that go by, or that are referred to as cocaine? What other street names have you heard?
Yeah.
Well, you guys already said a few, Blow, Bam Bam, and obviously the big one with Tony Montana fans would be like Yayo.
Ooh, okay.
Yayo,
nice. Devil's dandruff. I mean, little nose candy, huh? Little powder. I mean, what are we talking about here? Yeah.
What are some other things that like drugs that obviously you're not touching on marijuana. That's small potatoes.
Right.
What are some other big time things besides cocaine and probably heroin, I assume, and meth? Those are the two other top three.
Those are the three big ones. And then, like I said, fentanyl is a big one with being mixed with other substances or being by itself. But we don't, you say it about marijuana, but marijuana is still being, mass produced in Mexico and other locations. And it's still a very lucrative business. It's still lucrative down here. They've got special blends of marijuana that they send south and they send north, and it sells for a very good price, and it's still a good way for them to make their money and also supplement their cocaine trafficking. So we still investigate it, but like I said, we're not out there chasing like street dealers for marijuana.
Dime bags.
I haven't worked too many marijuana cases.
Good deal.
Yeah, man. Kendall Forth also came up with a great name, Booger Sugar. That's a good one. That is true. Yeah. Little nose candy. But Robbie Tackett with an actual serious question here. What are the feelings about Pablo Escobar with Colombia now? He was a king for many years. If that name comes up, how is that referred to now?
So Pablo controlled the Medellin cartel, which Medellin's another beautiful city in Colombia. But during the Pablo days, it was a very violent place. He had like pretty much hits out on police officers, and you're talking about like nothing for people to go kill a police officer. I mean, you're talking about getting paid like $100 to go kill a cop. And sometimes they still have that down here where they put hits out on police when they do enforcement down here. But Pablo's kind of a Robin Hood type character. A lot of people obviously despise him because of the damage that he did, but he also gave a lot back to his community because he came up from kind of nothing, and he would give supplies and money.
Like people. Nino Brown giving turkeys, baby. Yeah.
He's still kind of revered in some parts of Medellin, but I think the majority of the population will look at him as bringing shame to the country and really making Colombia a narco state. And kind of, it's taken a long time for Colombia to kind of try to rebuild their image, which is one reason why the United States dumps so much money into the government down here and the efforts against drug trafficking, because they're such a huge ally of ours. So,
hey, if you were one guy, would you be Steve Murphy or Javier Pena from Narcos?
I don't think I'd be
your favorite.
Cool. I don't think I'd be cool enough to be Javier Pena. I'd probably be.
Oh, how great is he?
Wow.
He's in the Mandalorian, even
Yeah.
Another question from the group here. Brittany Heinz again with great questions. Have you ever been injured on the job in a raid or something like that? Have you ever anything like that?
No.
Not that I can recall. No, been fortunate.
He's in good shape.
He's in good shape.
Yeah. He's got the abs. You've seen him.
You could do your laundry on his abs. I mean, my God, look at him. Jesus.
I think it's more luck than anything, and just I've worked with guys where we've gotten like trying to subdue somebody. Lane, I'm sure you've been in those situations when you were a cop where people resist, and people, whether they're on something or not, they don't want to go to jail, and maybe they see that DEA emblem rolling up on them as opposed to just something that says police, and they know the feds are coming for them, and the sentences are a lot harsher for there. So I've been involved in arrests where guys have gotten fist fights trying to subdue guys, and guys have gotten broken arms and stuff like that. Fortunate, never been involved in a shooting, which knock on wood, I'm thankful for, and I hope it never happens. And the higher I try to rise up with DEA, the less street work I'm doing. So hopefully I'm never put in one of those situations.
Now I want to hear from Lane Pye and Dickey both, because they've both been, in the field, different forms of law enforcement, but nevertheless out there. When it comes to, in this country now, especially, of course, Dickey's been out of the country for a while, but he was in the country for, a while too. Now he's coming back. There is a growing, population, a certain type of people that, it's always, against police officers. You're being filmed all the time for anything you do. Eyes are upon you all the time. Then, of course, there are, the rest of us that, back the blue, things like that. So in this climate, how difficult is it to be in law enforcement? Lane, let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on that in your time as a police officer?
So I'm not in it now, but, it is difficult because people, automatically assume you're part of that small percentage of people who do things wrong. And, Colin will attest to this. There is 99% of us do everything we can to avoid any kind of contact. Just like he said, I echoed the same thing. I never wanted to be in a shootout in my job. I never wanted to go hands-on with somebody. I never wanted to do those things. And I tried to do it to the best of my ability. Are there mistakes that happen? Yes. But, never intentional. And just in the heat of the moment, maybe you forget to say something, like sometimes when you're Mirandizing somebody or whatever, you're supposed to have cards because you may forget things. So, it's difficult because people automatically assume that your intent is not whole or pure or whatever. But, right now, I've been out of it for a couple of years now, and I couldn't imagine law enforcement in this kind of environment. But again, just to reiterate, it's just it's such a small percentage. I mean, every day there are millions upon millions of interaction with police and citizens. And yeah, sometimes things go bad because there are some bad apples in the whole orchard, but it doesn't mean everybody is. So,
right. Yeah. That's
kind of my thouts on that.
Absolutely.
Hey, Lane,
Dickey, your thoughts.
Jump out, buddy. When did you jump out, buddy? I forget when you jumped out.
I left. Last thing I was an investigator for the state police. I left that in 2018.
Okay.
Ooh,
Couple 3 years.
recent.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's more recent than I realized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no
I mean,
kidding.
I left law enforcement for Flora in 2013. So
Okay.
Dickey, your thoughts on that hot topic?
Yeah, as Delaney always says, I don't like following Lane because he's so articulate and
Yes.
He is.
he hits
That
all
was
my
hard, so.
he hits all my points, but he came at it from a uniformed law enforcement perspective. With the Drug Enforcement Administration, we're plain clothes, regular vehicles. We're not rolling around in cop cars where we're visible to people. So we have a lot less interaction, so we're exposed to that a little bit less. But I've definitely sadly, I've seen a paradigm shift in people's views of police officers. And unfortunately, I think sometimes the media plays a big part in sensationalizing the negative. I'll just say, like, a negative situation will get played up over and over on the media sometimes. And it's really unfortunate because, like you said, 99% or more of us law enforcement officers are out there trying to do better for the community, or we'd be the first ones. I know I would if I was ever out, which is, why I usually carry my weapon when I'm plain clothes off duty, is because I would hate to be with family or around friends or in a mall or some situation and I didn't have it on me and I could prevent an attack from happening. But I would be one of those people that if I saw something happen or somebody opened fire, like we've seen several times in, whether it's a church, a mall, some sort of public place, I'd be the first one to step in there and potentially try to save people that I don't even know. And I think you could say that about a lot of law enforcement officers around the world. So we just try to do the best we can. I mean, if you looked at any other profession, the same thing, what the three of you guys do, and you said 1% of people are going to be bad, it wouldn't be as negatively talked about publicly or in the media as it is with police officers, because we're under scrutiny. And, you got to make split-second decisions that are recorded on video because of body cam procedures and surveillance cameras and everything. But then people will have the luxury and the ability to look at that for 3 weeks, a month, and make a decision on the fate of an officer when they've got to make a split life or death decision. So I hope it improves the rhetoric, and just for the people watching and the people that see this, I think it's important to know that most of us, the majority or all of us, are out there want to make a difference and do the right thing in our communities.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can I make
100%.
this sum up pretty well? 2 words,
Yeah.
right,
Well,
boys?
What's that?
Behave and comply, right?
That helps.
Pretty well.
Now, I will say I've been pulled over for the tint on my windows. Didn't care for how I was treated back in the day. Didn't like that, but it is what it is. Now, there's some questions out there, Dickey, for you. First one, have you ever dressed up as a pirate hooker to get someone to talk? Your thoughts? And that's from Bobby Carlisle in San Diego, California. Your thoughts? Pirate hooker.
Not yet, but I've still got at least 9 years before retirement, so there's still hope.
So that's an option, pirate hooker.
Always an option.
Good. That's good. I'm glad to see you keep that open. Next one, Justin Cook, who is always great with questions and very vocal tonight. Can you confirm or deny if there's an analyst at Quantico solely dedicated to monitoring Brian Delaney's driveway surveillance cameras for bloopers? Is that being watched by the FBI? Your thoughts? And DEA, is that being watched?
I think they actually brought back Jodie Foster's character from Silence of the Lambs.
Fantastic. So a movie's coming. That's fantastic. Oh my God.
They've been screaming a lot.
From Hannibal to Brian Delaney's activities in the driveway.
I think there's a dedicated satellite.
Very important part. It's not just for catching my bloopers. It actually caught someone slashing the tires of my neighbor recently. So
boy, there's trouble in Wisconsin. I didn't think people committed crimes in Wisconsin. Wow, you're cold.
Crime.
Oh, so much crime. You've lost control of your community.
My neighborhood's like the hood. It's like the poor part of Bogota. Imagine.
Yeah.
Actually, it's what happens when they keep losing in that final NFC championship. People just don't.
Yes.
They lose their minds. Yeah, got nothing else. Absolutely. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers screwed us. Yeah, now let's slice tires. Absolutely.
It's just a ticket, actually.
Yeah, Dustin Smith from Venue 720 in Florida said he feels like Lane threw his weight around for ticket upgrades at my place, and I thought he was still law enforcement. Just now found out that he was not. Good move, Lane. Lane, were you using your former police authority to get upgrades and tickets? Is that true at Venue 720 in Florida?
Negative. It was just my authoritative voice.
Oh, I like it. It's so smooth, so velvety smooth.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, he's got a group coming in. You know, he's got some people coming in. Let's see. Justin Cook says, I feel bad because every time I pose a question, Dickey is on a serious topic, and Delaney and Sam are trying not to lose their shit laughing. That is correct. As we talked about, we're not great at poker. Dickey's, trying to be serious, but he knew this coming in. He knew this coming in.
Colin's a professional. Sam and I are not so much.
Right.
Sam and Brian, not so much. Lane and Colin, professionals.
Right. Yeah. Lane is just taking all this in because it was nerddom and his former police. He's really enjoying this. But anyway, let's see. Well, Packers, Matt McCoy. I mean, Choke City. But now, in saying that, I'm a big fan of the John Wick movies. Okay, I enjoy that Keanu Reeves headshot. So, in both your trainings, do they teach center right here in the chest?
And then
I like this stupid question from him.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin, you want to take this one? Do they teach you to do zombie headshots, or do they teach you
zombie headshots? I like that. I like zombie headshots better.
I think it's center mass. I don't know anything about law enforcement. I assume it's probably.
And we're back. So little hamster off the wheel. So let's try again. So once again, in your training, both of you, did they teach center mass or headshot? And then also, because of John Wick, big fan. And also, what type of weapon do you use in the field? Dickey, go.
We qualify once a quarter with our weapons. I carry a Glock.
Gun?
I carry a Glock 9mm as my duty weapon, and we have Remington 870 shotguns, and we have Rock River M4 rifles as well that I used to carry when I was on the SRT team, which are obviously very dangerous weapons, but very accurate, can shoot from long ranges. So trained on those three. But now when we train, we run a qualification course from 50 yards and in, and we mainly focus on keeping a tight group, center mass, but then we do practice, headshots from closer ranges. And we do that sometimes because bad guys wear body armor too, just like we do. And if you're putting a bunch of rounds in somebody, if you're in that situation in center mass and it's not stopping the threat, which is what we're trying to do, shoot until we stop the threat. And sometimes you may have to take other immediate action, and sometimes that would require a headshot. And it's a much smaller target, so you do need to train on that. So I felt very good about the training opportunities I've had, and especially with the SRT team, it was very good. So I'll kick it over to Lane, see what he has to.
Well, before we go to Lane, Dickey, how good are you on a headshot? How many yards away are you good for a headshot?
I mean, I don't really practice them within 15 yards, but I'm pretty accurate with my Glock. And then just depends with your rifle. I mean, those rifles can shoot themselves. I mean, you could probably do those from, depending on how good you are, at least 100 yards out or further, if you've had like sniper practice or anything like that.
Wow. Delaney, your thoughts on scopes and whatnot on rifles?
Yeah, I like the ACOG scopes. They're the best.
If you have any gun questions, make sure to send those to Delaney and myself.
If you're anything, if you're any good, all you need is iron sights. Am I telling you right, boys? Am I right?
Oh, right there. Yeah, right there. 100%. Yeah, iron sights.
Because how many upgrade points does it take to get that ACOG in Call of Duty? I mean, how many times do you got to get to the bonus levels to get the upgrade?
For me, I mean, I beat the whole game in about 8 hours.
I whipped those 12-year-olds' asses in Call of Duty. Now, Brenton Johnson was far better than I, so he can tell you more about that. Now, before we go to Lane, Jeff Fehrenbacher, great question. Colin, you can help us out here. Does Sam need a license in Colombia to carry his guns around? That's right, Jeff Fehrenbacher. I don't need a scope. I got these bad boys right. Does it need a license, Colin Dickey? Do they need it?
I think that would probably require a concealed carry permit.
Oh, fantastic. God, I probably have to cover these puppies up, and boy, I don't want them to suffocate. So Lane Pie, in the local law enforcement, look at Delaney. Do that again one more time for the crowd at home. God.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's God-given right there. Yeah.
Tweak.
So, Lane, in terms of local law enforcement, what are you packing? What's going on there?
So let's see. I carried
I guess.
Golly, I carried a 1911, which is a 45 caliber. Then I carried a Glock 45. Then I carried a Glock 40, which was the last caliber that I ran with, and I liked that gun. And then I had my own rifle, which was an AR. It was a Bushmaster AR-15, and that's what I qualified with on teams. So, and basically similar course of fire that Colin would go through, 50 and in. With the rifle, and I shot my handgun at 50 yards, but I could hit a target, but not consistently. But then once I got a 25 and in, it was handgun and rifle. So I was by far not a great shot, not even close to probably what Colin's capabilities are. But just one little side note, everybody that was watching John Wick, you brought up John Wick. You realize Keanu Reeves truly does compete in 2 and 3 gun competitions.
Yes, he does. I've seen the videos. He's phenomenal. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. That guy does reloads and stuff on the show. That's him. That's
legit, right?
And that's legit. And I'll tell you, that's not easy to reload that fast, that quick, and do those things. It takes a lot of motor skill. So.
The only thing I think is missing from John Wick, which, by the way, once again, why it's not Oscar nominated, I don't understand, because they're phenomenal movies, is every time he shoots somebody in the head, why it's not followed by a whoa. I don't know. Whoa. That needs to be added. That makes John Wick 4 right up there in the greatest movies ever made. I love those friggin' movies. One shot, one kill. Kyle Delaney's correct. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
What gun? You know what? I like to carry a Walther PPK. Anyone know who carried that gun?
Say, man, who else? License to Kill.
Yeah.
James Bond.
That's right.
You Bond?
Goddamn, James Bond. James Bond, the best one. Roger Moore.
This could go. Oh man, I don't know about that.
Roger Moore.
Sean Connery. I mean,
I understand. I'm in the minority, but
you are Roger Moore. I don't know about that. Dickey, your thoughts? Hot take. Who's the best Bond? We got to know right now.
I don't think I've ever seen any of the Bond movies.
Jesus Christ. I don't know why we brought him on the show. I have no idea what's going on here.
I've never got into
Octopussy? Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, big deal. You're busting Colombian drug cartels, but you don't know who the best Bond is. I don't know why you're on this friggin' show. I don't know. We're wasting our time. If you don't know, I mean, you got to know. So, but let's see. Jennifer Randall with a question here.
Good question.
Yeah, Lane and Dickey. Ooh, to both of you. Get ready.
Ooh.
What has been your biggest – this is a great friggin' question. What has been your biggest adrenaline rush situation during your career? Ooh, let's start with Lane Pie, a fan of adrenaline. Your thoughts?
So
was it going to Reinhard and busted in a door, or what's that?
Yeah, it was similar. Colin was on an SRT. I was on an SRT as well. So I think I did SWAT team, SRT, Special Response Team, SWAT team, same thing. I did I can't remember how many actual search warrants I was part of. I want to say more than 40, but almost all of them when I was entry team. It's a huge dump of adrenaline, and it takes you hours to come down from it. But when you do, you're incredibly tired, and you usually want to go to bed right away. So,
music you listen to, Lane, on the way?
Can I guess? I assume it's Metallica, or I'll tell you what, it's probably Joan Jett, isn't it? Joan Jett.
Honestly, I used to just get in my own head prior to a search warrant. So I would just sit there and just kind of you're taking it all in. You're going through what your assignment is or whatever it is you're supposed to do in your head. You've researched, you've rehearsed it, you've done your thing, and it's just going there and executing. So honestly, the sound, we didn't have music prior to, just because you wanted to be locked in. So that was part of the adrenaline dump, though. The quiet would actually get you going. So.
Hey, Lane, look at Sam. Look how stupid he looks. He's all frozen.
Well, we'll go ahead and hand it over to Colin so you can talk about.
Yeah, Colin, tell us yours.
Adrenaline dump.
Wait, I'm expecting to be interrupted by Sam in 3, 2,
yeah, pretty much
1, and we're back. Nope.
Get ready to pause it. Yeah.
He's
gone. He's off. Apparently, he quit. So Sam is no longer with the show. Lane is the producer, executive producer. Of this show. Dickey is now a member of the show. So go ahead, Colin. Apologize.
Was it my non-watching James Bond ass?
Probably.
It could have been. We just don't know.
Okay. So once again, I'd have to say with Lane, I've had a lot of experiences, and some I can't really go into specifics because they're DEA sensitive on some seizures and stuff like that. So I really can't talk about that, but same thing, Lane, anytime we had a warrant, and same thing, you would think you're listening to like rock music, getting geeked up, but you're riding in a van or like a Bearcat, like a big armored vehicle on the way to this. And, I've been breacher before where I've had to ram the door. But I'd say the biggest adrenaline rush for me is when you're the point guy and you're the first guy through that door.
Yep.
You're the first one in that door, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to take gunfire. You don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes you'd have a shield with your pistol. Sometimes you'd have your long gun. So anytime I went in there, I was laser focused. But my heart was always beating 1,000 miles a minute, even though I was well trained. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I had to do. We had layouts of properties that we were doing the enforcement actions on. But it's still, and it did take some time to come down from that after you're done. But that was probably the biggest adrenaline rush for me as well. And all you need to look at is what happened in Sunrise, Florida a few weeks ago with the FBI agents that were serving that search warrant. Went into a house with a child pornographer, no criminal history. They were doing a big takedown of other locations that day. They used SWAT teams at other locations. They did not use a SWAT team at that location. They breached the door and immediately start taking fire. And it ends up with 2 or 3 FBI agents dead, a couple more wounded. That could have happened on any day, whether I was doing that with SRT or whether I was doing an enforcement action or a vehicle stop or an arrest operation in a parking lot. So I never took that lightly, and that's why we always were prepared and briefed stuff up ahead of time. But that was always an adrenaline rush. And my main thing as an agent and as a supervisor was everybody goes home safe at night.
Absolutely. So, and I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. Had a power outage. I went out and fixed the electricity. I did that myself. But Dickey, your music you listened to on the way?
No, he covered
that. I missed it. I'm sorry. So yeah,
that's okay.
Where you were watching one of the Bond movies, we discussed this. So,
hey, Colin, one thing that you and Lane can both answer probably is that, you watch TV shows like Narcos or The Wire, great show by the way, or any show like that. It's healthcare shows, like they're just TV shows. They don't exactly tell you the real thing. Like Colin, we've talked about it before. How much percentage of your work is just like boring paperwork, or Lane, like all the reports you had to fill out rather than in the SRT stuff? People forget about this part. It's not like NYPD Blue all the time,
Right. Real question, Colin Dickey. I need to know, have you ever had like a group? This is a serious question that I need to know. Have you ever had a group of people that have come down? Maybe one guy's like big and jacked up and bald headed, and they used to just kind of be like a street gang that raced cars, and they came down to Columbia to help you solve a crime. Has that ever happened to you while you've been down in Columbia?
Not yet, but I'm kind of hoping that scenario happens the same day that I dress up as like a pirate hooker too.
Perfect. Lane, yourself, did that ever happen in Reiner? Did you ever get Vin Diesel to show up?
No, never had a Vin Diesel or a Rock. No, just myself. So
not in Reiner, but Clay City. Did it happen?
Well, there may have been this one guy in Clay City who was close.
I knew it. I freaking knew it. There's a Vin Diesel in Clay City. I knew it. Yes. And Delaney, have you ever had Vin Diesel show up at your healthcare facility to help out, maybe solve a mystery?
What's a HIPAA violation? I can't say this. Yes or no.
Some things you're able to talk about, and some you can't. Fantastic. That's great.
No,
that's great. Delaney, what was your original question? I'm sorry. I had to know.
Well,
I had to know the fast curious.
Just basically that what we see in TV is just all nonsense, generally speaking. It's not always interesting. It's not always like fast-paced and crazy and chaotic. Sometimes it's just like, I got to fill out this stupid paperwork. This is going to take like 4 hours. Is that about right, Colin and Lane?
Lane, do you want to start?
Yeah. So pretty much, we had reports. I wouldn't say I was inundated with it unless it was a big case. So this is going to fly right over to Colin as far as big cases go. But when you're investigating certain crimes, you had certain paperwork that would do. But everybody was like, you never want to put your hands on somebody. You don't want to use force. Why? You're afraid you're going to get beat. Well, you never want to get hurt. But the other thing was, as soon as you put your hands on somebody, that's immediate, like 2-hour report that you got to write of why you did it, and did he get proper medical attention, and all those other things that go along with it. So it's not like you can just put your hands on somebody and you're done. You have a lot of paperwork to do. So the bigger the case, the more paperwork, because you want to, cross every T, dot every I, so that basically when you present it to the attorney, the prosecuting attorney, or whatever, they don't have any questions. And so that's the thing. The bigger the case, more paperwork. And from that, I'll transition right over to Colin. He can talk more about that.
Yeah, so with us, we do longer term investigations. So I always looked at the paperwork aspect as an investment because you got to make sure your paperwork's tight because I've had to testify in federal court. I testified in Chicago as an expert witness in drug cases as well. So it's very important to have all your facts together. But I would say 60% paperwork, 30% surveillance, and then 10% fun. But the 10% fun makes up for some of the other stuff you're doing. But the 60% is probably the most important because that's the stuff that's going to get somebody convicted. Because you can arrest people all day long, but if the evidence isn't there, or if you make mistakes in your paperwork and in other aspects of your investigation, the guy could get acquitted or walk free. So yes, it's mundane, but we all have mundane aspects of our jobs. And I never looked at it as being mundane because it was a necessary evil. So, and it was, like I said, on takedown day and arrest operations and, hitting doors and taking bad guys off the street, it was all worth it.
Fantastic. Delaney, Lane, what other questions do we have in terms of Columbia or the job that you guys have before we move on to because by God, we've got Dickey way past his bedtime. I mean, he's going to struggle. Look at him,
still
poor old
alert.
man.
He's hitting.
Yeah, he's doing so far. He's doing pretty good. It's the aura behind. Those aren't lights, people. That's an aura. But anybody out there that's watching, and once again, this has been probably the people that have stuck with this show have been phenomenal. It's very entertaining. It's very instructional. There's a lot of good information here. But any other questions about the job in and of itself for either one or life in Columbia or anything like that before we move on to Dickey's favorite pastime, which is crunches? Anything at all?
Food there, buddy. Tell us about the food there.
Ooh, indeed. Yeah.
It's fantastic. My parents took them out to some restaurants down here when they came. Bogota, I would compare it to a large city in the United States. It's just obviously more run down because we're in not a third world country, but a second world country. But there's fantastic restaurants. There's chefs at restaurants down here that trained in the United States. So I've got my 10 to 15 places that I go to all the time, and the food is fantastic. And to me, it just tastes like more natural and organic than some of the stuff we eat in the States. But I mean, I follow a nutritional plan, so. I eat pretty much the same thing every day, and then I give myself a couple of cheat meals where I go out.
Those abs don't happen by accident. That's work.
No.
That's right. And commitment. Great question here from Robbie Tackett. Once again, and this can go to both of you. That's fine. Well, Lane, I know this. What's the longest you've worked a case before the action? Yours is 5-6 years. But Dickey, what about you? What's the longest you've worked on a case before the action comes?
More importantly, which is better, Gatorade or Powerade bottles to urinate in if it's a long?
Oh, good question. Yeah. So 2 questions, Dickey. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's the investigative part first. I think the longest investigation I did was a 3-year investigation, but we kind of had enforcement action broken up, and then there was phases of the case, but they were all connected. So it was a long investigation, and you just got to be persistent with that. And it takes a lot of patience. Stuff doesn't happen every day on those investigations, and you got to stick to it and just make sure you're on top of everything. So I'd say, probably 3 years for that. Regarding your question about urinating in a bottle, I would probably say Gatorade bottle. We were talking last night a little bit, and on this job, there's been days where I think the longest I slept in my car without going home was either 2 or 3 nights where I slept in my car watching a target with other guys on my team. And you kind of got a go bag, and you bring a change of clothes, maybe some deodorant, maybe a toothbrush, a bottle of water, and some toothpaste, and brush your teeth out that way. And
just a horse bath on that? I mean, just a little undercarriage work or what? Yeah.
Maybe you got some baby wipes and do whatever. But it's not glamorous all the time, and that's not the fun part. But I'll tell you, that's something I miss being down here, like being out on the street with my guys when I was a supervisor, and having a team of guys that you trust with your life, and we hang out outside of work. And I miss that camaraderie down here of being in those situations.
Now, Dickey, Jeff Fehrenbacher with a great question.
Yeah.
What about number 2? I
What do you
mean,
have to poop,
can't do that in a
dude?
Gatorade bottle. If you
Like,
can, you ought to be on one of those game shows or something. But
yeah, I'm assuming
yeah.
you're not eating Taco Bell or Taco John's or
Right.
anything.
What are you
similar
doing?
to that? Is that
Yeah,
true?
no beans.
You avoid the burrito bowl.
Okay.
On those nights.
Fair enough.
I don't know. In those situations, probably go find one of the local PDs and a friendly establishment.
Oh. Or is it like in Reinhard where you just do it in the street, just let it fly?
Whatever,
I mean,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa Reese has an actual legitimate question.
Oh.
What is the thing you miss most from the States that you can't get there in Bogota?
Ooh.
Senorita Fern would be happy with my pronunciation of Bogota.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Lane?
So proud of you right now, Delaney. I'm proud of you.
Lane knows.
So there's a lot of things I miss. I mean, family and friends would probably be number one, being this far, obviously down here. But little things like they don't have very good, like I'm obviously into nutritional plan. Like they don't have very good sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts down here.
Bastards.
So that's one thing I'm really gonna when I get back to the States. Just little things like that. And the gym's nice down here, but it's just not the same as going to some of the gyms that I've been to in the United States. So I'll look forward to getting back to that as well.
Indeed. Lane Pie, back to you. The longest you've been on without any action. Your thoughts?
He means like on the job, dude.
Yeah.
Just hang on a second.
I know.
That could go two ways. So we can talk about personally and professionally.
No.
So your thoughts?
Professionally,
I've the longest I've had to work a case is a few months. So
okay.
That was it. So
all right. And personally?
NA.
Marianne, turn off your radio, please.
What other questions do we have out there for these fine gentlemen? Anything out there? And Delaney, your any other questions that you have in terms of Columbia or the job?
No, Colin knows I could talk about this all day.
God, yeah. And once again, thanks for everybody that's tuned in. This is going now. We're over an hour and a half, and everybody's sticking around, so they're loving this.
Right.
This is great. So much information.
Questions all day. He knows he gets bored with all my stupid questions, so I'm going to defer to someone else that ask about questions that are not related to Jimmy McNulty on the wire or Snoop on the wire or something like that.
And Lane, any other law enforcement questions or anything out there that you can think of? Do you want to know?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, the job, I've been around other agents. I know what he does. It's amazing. I mean, the work that these guys put in, the way that they can coordinate, get everything to come together, and then put it all into one investigation. It's really, you tip your hat to those guys. I mean, I know how hard it is to put small cases together. So when you're working a large case with multiple people, multiple forms of intel, and then trying to coordinate all of that, put it all together and have it into a cohesive case, it's really quite an amazing thing. So I'm been around Colin long enough time. I know how he works. I guarantee his work's top notch. And like I said, it's truly amazing to see somebody from Florida to get to that level. I mean, assistant special agent in charge, amazing title, and what an accomplishment. Was still years to go. He's still young in his career. He's still got
absolutely
half of it left.
Delaney, do you ever feel like on this show that we are just both challenged mentally, and then there's Lane that comes across with these wonderfully stated things, and we're just the two idiots?
I feel like every day.
Yeah,
I certainly do on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and 7 p.m. today. Yeah. One thing Lane touched on is very important, and this is the comedy hour, but important thing for Colin is he's the most humble person I know. Mm-hmm. This guy was Agent of the Year years ago. He will not talk about that. I had to hear that secondhand because he will not talk about that.
I'd wear that like a medal around my neck.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. Right.
What a load of crap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we should all be very proud of him about who he is as a person and how he is affecting our country and soon to be St. Louis area. So I'm
which is exciting.
Happy, selfishly to have him back in the States.
Yes.
For a number of reasons.
Yes.
And I know Robin and Bruce and Sarah and her family are as well. So it's very
And we've got a bourbon trip planned this spring, early summer, which is exciting. Yes. So let's get that move done. And we're going to do a show from one of the distilleries, which will be fantastic. We're going to make that happen. So before we call it a night, because once again, Dickey does not miss a workout. We don't want him to stay up too late. But physical fitness, taking care of yourself is a very important part of not only your personal life, but your job as well, I'm sure, to keep you, up and motivated. Talk to us about, real quick, like I said, don't want to keep you forever, but just to give those folks at home, what you do in terms of, your eating regimen, your working out, things like that, because I know that's an important part of your life.
Yeah. So thanks for all the nice comments you guys just said. I really appreciate it. It means a lot coming from friends and guys that I respected growing up as like athletes and people I looked up to. So I appreciate it. And I know there's probably a lot of listeners from Flora. So I feel like, I feel like I'm still representing the Flora population. I'm still representing my parents. There's a lot of good people in Flora, including yourselves and a lot of other people that I still care about. And it was good to see some of those people when I was home in December. So I think it's good for any time there's a success story outside of Flora, whether it's me or somebody else. I think it's pretty amazing to have people come out of Southern Illinois and kind of chase their dreams. Like I said, I wanted to do this in 7th grade and or when I was young, and the fact that it happened, I'm very blessed to be where I'm at today. I never thought I'd end up in Bogota, Colombia as an agent, and then as a boss that high up in DEA. So I'm very fortunate to be where I am today. Regarding the fitness stuff, so yeah, it's kind of intertwined. I've always been into it. I think it's kind of filled the void for me after competitive sports ended for me in college with tennis. I really started getting into it probably in junior college or my last 2 years of college. And then within the last 4 years, I really started getting into the nutritional aspects of it. And I started following a nutritional plan. Like I said, I pretty much eat the same thing every day, but it was the best investment I made. I've been following a meal plan with this guy online for 4 years now, and counts my macros every day. I weigh out my food with a scale with the containers and everything like that. I don't mind it. Some people have a hard time. The nutrition part is the biggest aspect to me. It's 75%, 80% of your results. And I started seeing fantastic results when I started getting on that plan. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So I eat like that pretty much 7 days a week. I give myself 2 cheat meals, one on leg day and one on back day, because those are the two biggest muscle groups. So so today I did back. So I had like a double cheeseburger and fries for dinner before we got on. It was my cheat day.
McDonald's? Ooh, McDonald's? Is that
McDonald's?
No.
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 That was a remembrance of me.
Delaney's going to pass out here in a minute. But go ahead.
I had a cookie for lunch.
I do that. And then when I was younger, I usually hit muscle groups like twice per week when I could recover a little bit faster. I mean, I'm only 40 now, but I think we can all attest that as the older you get, it gets a little bit harder to recover. So I follow a 5-day split now where I do legs by themselves, chest by itself, back by itself, biceps, triceps together, and then shoulders by themselves as well. I do abs 3 days a week after 3 of those body workouts. And then I do 20 to 30 minutes of cardio every day. And I usually do 6 days per week and take 1 full rest day, or my rest day would be like an active rest day where I just do 30 minutes of like light Stairmaster or like a HIIT workout. And like you said earlier, would you say the mental aspect has been better for you and just kind of the results of how you look, or just kind of the after effects? Really the main thing is your mental? Yeah, I follow them all like, look good, play good, look good, feel good, play good. That's a fact. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it breeds, except my golf game, but it breeds confidence, I think. And one thing is you want to look like you're squared away. When I was doing street work back in the States, you want to look like, you know what you're doing and you're put together, and the way you carry yourself. And part of that is confidence, but it higher energy levels, more confidence. It's part of my daily regimen. I feel like sluggish if I don't work out. So it's just part of my daily routine. And I get up at 3:30 in the morning, at the gym by 4, usually work out for 2 hours a day. But that's why, like it's 9:45 and I'm going to be dragging ass tomorrow. All right.
But I guarantee that boy will be there by 5 a.m.
Absolutely, 100%.
Sleep until 4:30 instead of getting up at 3:30 tomorrow.
One other question.
Go ahead, Lane.
No, I was say one other question. Obviously, law enforcement, your job, it's incredibly stressful. Do you find that the not only the nutrition but also the working out, does it help diminish, or can you feel some of the stress coming off of you when you do some of those harder lift days and so forth?
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that a lot, actually. Oh, you're talking to Colin. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Colin. Sorry, Lane.
No, I feel the stress coming off, and then I feel like when I'm done with that workout, I've already got something accomplished for the day, and I feel like the rest of my day is going to be a success because I've got it done. And if I've tried it before. I work out lunchtime or after work, and I'm usually just deadbeat tired. Or, sure as shit, like every time I tried to do that, we'd have like a surveillance operation pop up at 5, and it's like, all right, well, not going to the gym today, and then I would just feel, like garbage. So it's a lifestyle for me. It's not just something I do. It's something I have to do. And I wouldn't be the same person if I didn't have the ability to do it.
That's
Absolutely.
Awesome. You've talked about how you feel like just kind of a loser or kind of sluggish all day if you do not hit the weights at least for a little bit, or hit the gym at least for a little bit.
Yep. I got to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And like you guys said,
I listen to my body too. If I don't feel like I need a rest day, then I won't take one. And people would maybe go against that, but then there's been days where I'm like, I'm going to get up and lift today, but my body's like, nah, man, you need a break. And then I'll take a full rest day, and then that rest day does help. But I just try to listen to your body, no matter what level you're at, whether you're just getting into it or you can do it 3 days a week. Like my sister's getting into it right now. I'm so proud of her. She's been sending me a recipe she's making and stuff she's been cooking and workouts she's been doing like so many days this year. And she's told me about her energy levels and how it makes her feel better. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, not just the physical aspect, kind of what Lane was talking about and all you guys have talked about, but the mental aspect as well. It truly helps you process things, and maybe in stressful situations, maybe you react a little bit different to those.
Absolutely. And Colin brings up a good point. Those of you watching at home, it helps you mentally, physically. I mean, there's so many things. If you can get in there and get it done, it helps you in so many ways. So props to Sarah for getting out there doing it. And she said here as we close out, can't wait to have you in the same city. Be ready to watch your nephew's soccer and baseball games. My apologies, Colin. You have to watch soccer games.
Lame.
I mean, my God. But you probably watch soccer in Colombia, I'm sure, because there's nothing else to do in Colombia. So you're used to that. But nevertheless, so we've kept Colin way too long. It's way past his bedtime. This has been a fantastic show filled with tons of information and energy and great stories, and it's had it all. And thanks to those of you that have stayed with us this whole time. It's been over 30 plus for the past hour and 45 minutes, which is fantastic. So thanks to everybody that stayed in. Colin, thanks to you again for making the time. Thanks to my co-host as well. Final thoughts or anything, Brian Lane, before we let Colin go to bed. Your thoughts.
Again, tip my hat to the guy. Great accomplishment, great career with much more ahead of you. We are incredibly proud of you. It's amazing what you've accomplished and what your journey and your careers took you through. So again, we thank you for your service to everyone, in all countries that you've impacted, and keep up the good work. And you have all of our full support, and wish you nothing but the best for the future. So thank you.
Dude looks like a Laney. Your thoughts?
Well, first, more importantly, this is my idea to have you on here, so you're welcome.
Was. I tried for like 2 years, and he just kept shutting me down. And now that's why I brought you on the show, was to get Dickey on, and you've done your job. So thank you for that.
So I'm going to be cut after this.
Yeah, you're gone.
So
if you
want to do a podcast, you and I, dog. I love you. We've been close for many, many, many years. I've leaned on you. You leaned on me, and I thank you for coming on here and telling us some stories and entertaining us for a little while. This is one of the higher rated shows we've ever had. And I'm proud of you. We're all proud of you. And Clay County to Wisconsin to wherever. Thank you for what you do. I wouldn't want to do it.
No shit.
But yeah. Thank you. And you as well as Lane. It's law enforcement is as we talk about it, to get too political, but it's a very thankless job these days. Thank you for what you've done for us and for our country and our young people and whatnot. And mostly can't wait to get back to St. Louis and see you soon, brother.
Absolutely. And to those of you that, have watched, thank you. Once again, thank you to Bill Atwood for being the sponsor of the show. Contact him, North Wayne Insurance, great guy, practices what he preaches. But also to those of you that are big fans of Back the Blue, stuff like that, Colin is clearing friggin' South America by himself. Send him messages of support, flood him with that. He's coming, to St. Louis in May. Maybe you never know when you deal with the government if that's going to go through, if it's going to be delayed, who knows. Make sure and thank him. Send him messages of support because he's doing a job that many of us, wouldn't do or aren't willing to do. And he goes above and beyond, to help us out. So it's going to be awesome to get him back, close to this area. Great kid. And it just amazes me. You remember this little bitty kid that was a small freshman that now is kicking ass in Columbia.
40.
Yeah, it just makes no sense to me. But nevertheless, it's awesome
40.
to see. Yeah, 40. Jesus Christ, 40. That means we're getting old. Yeah, good Lord. But I just remember a little kid as a freshman, and now, good God, he's doing great things. It's awesome to see from your hometown to see people doing great things. Once again, thank you to those at home that have watched this and support him. Make sure and continue to support him as he gets there. And even when he gets back to St. Louis, keep that up. We need a lot more of that than the bullshit that's going on, currently. So in saying that, Colin Dickey, any final words before we let you get some much-needed rest? Your thoughts?
Thank you, all three of you guys. I'm humbled by all three. It's my pleasure to call all three of you guys friends.
Look at Delaney. He's not used to the acclaim. Look at him.
He's getting a little red.
Mm-hmm.
As tan as that thing in the back. So, and I appreciate you saying that, Sam, about the messages. But I would say echo the same sentiments as far as do me a favor when you see a local street cop or a firefighter or even a paramedic or something. Go thank them for what they do, because being a street cop is probably a hell of a lot harder than, especially like in an urban environment with violence, than what I do on a daily basis. So just thank them for their service. You won't know how much that will carry them throughout the day and how much that means to them, especially in today's day and age. So, and then a couple other points I'll just say. One thing Bruce Dickey always used to tell me growing up is like, do one good deed a day for a person without expecting anything in return. So I think that's something people should try to focus on, being a good person. And the other thing I'll say is, coming from a town of 5,000 people in Southern Illinois, I would just tell anybody out there, either, we're all getting to obviously the age where we have kids that were our age when, we would have wanted this advice, is just dream big. You can do anything you want to do in life. I never thought I would be at this point in my professional career. So just, stay the straight and narrow. And if there's something you want to do, chase it. You only have one life to live, and now's the time to make it happen. So
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
And
by the way, once again, if you're interested in that shirt back there, we're going to make a mass production of that because I think that needs to be out there. So shoot me messages, shoot Lane messages, Delaney, anybody, let us know size and all that. But fantastic show. This has been one of my favorite shows that we've done ever on this show. So thanks again to Colin Dickey to making the time. Thanks for those that you watch at home. Thanks to Bill Atwood for his sponsorship, and also thanks to Big Daddy Lane and Dude Looks Like a Laney for giving me their time, and their wives as well, who probably need a break. So it's not really a thank you, it's like you're welcome to get a break from those two. But in saying that, everybody, thank a law enforcement official tomorrow while you're out and about. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. And other than that, Big Daddy Lane, send us home, baby.